Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One more time.
Those are anti-maxers. So you got the anti-mask, anti-vax, anti-everything, pro-mask vaccine, everything, going at it. That's all. I mean, like, do you need to hear anything else at this point in time? I don't. I just figured start the day off right. I'm sitting there watching that. You listen to that over and over again. Listen to these people. They're insane. These are grown-ass people who've lost their ever-loving mind. That's going to live with you because the internet never forgets. Oh, my God. That right there is everything I needed to see. It's just that just makes your day. You don't need a cat. You don't need a dog doing something cute and funny, right? You don't need some crazy. You just need to sit back and you watch that and you're like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm not insane. Every once in a great while, you may play insane because everybody does. Trust me, this weekend I got a damn golf cart stuck. I was so pissed off of myself. You guys never even know. I was so pissed off of myself. Got the golf cart stuck. It looked like it was dry. It wasn't sunk. It was a nightmare. But that right there, those are grown people fighting over. Think about that. We're fighting over something that we shouldn't be fighting over. But we can't stop ourselves because we fight over every damn thing always. Those are grown-ups. That's all you have to say. Hope you guys had a good weekend. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, both Twitter and Getter. Gettr. Going to go check that out. On top of that, you can check us on Twitter and Instagram as well. The infrastructure bill still not did.
Hey, look, one of the things I love about you guys, I watched today, Biden vowed he's going to do this. Biden commits. Biden's going to work like hell to make sure we get both these passed, and I think we will get them passed.
Do you think the Democrats need to go it alone and do reconciliation in order to raise the debt limit?
Well, I hope the Republicans won't be so irresponsible as to refuse to raise the debt limit. That would be totally unconscionable. Never been done before.
Meanwhile, back at the Hill. The debt limit, the infrastructure. Oh, let's spend all the money we possibly can. Doesn't matter what you give some money, people, it'll never be enough. It'll never, ever, ever be enough.
I don't feel the need to give a number because I gave my number. It was 3.5. So if you're in a negotiation, you need to have a counteroffer before you bid against yourself.
So if we're not looking at numbers, what about 1.5, like what Senator
Well,
Manchin
that's not going to happen. So it's going to be somewhere.
Why won't it add up to that
Because
number?
that's too small to get our priorities in.
That's too small to get those priorities. Now, we're not talking about that other infrastructure bill, the one that Kirsten Sinner's been working on with the Republicans, the one that's got some bipartisan support that will essentially bring high-speed, broadband to places. It'll bring, a retrofit for a lot of the things that we desperately need, redoing our water, right? Our water facilities, our power facilities, the grids and things of that nature. No, this is the human infrastructure bill. And it's insane. Last week, you heard Manchin talk about the fact that he's like, look, we're not going to do this thing that you guys think we're going to do where we're just going to hand you everything.
So I said means testing, and that way you target children. So you have the beginning of life, our children. Pre-K, yes. Then you have the end where our senior citizens want to live in the dignity and respect of their own home. We can do that with some assistance. And again, some can pay a little bit, and some can't pay any. That's means testing. It goes an awful long way that way. I'm just not. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled. I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
Yeah. Yeah. But for the Democrats, this is their great opportunity, right? This is their great opportunity for, as they call it, the reset. This is their great opportunity to hand out as much money as possible. And by the way, when you talk about money, you know what? It's just numbers.
We have plenty of time to do both of these bills. We could pass them next week. We could pass them in November. We could pass them in December. We could pass them in January. You know, one of the things that we have made a mistake at is we've kind of lost the narrative, focusing on dollar amounts instead of exactly what the initiative in these programs. The number itself is meaningless. I read Joe Manchin's statement. He has no understanding of how the federal government monetary system works. It's not a question of what we can afford. The federal government can afford anything that it feels it needs to do.
John Yarmuth, Democrat, Kentucky. So the federal government can afford anything it needs. Of course, because it continues to spend other people's money. But when you start to do that recklessly, what ends up happening? You start printing money. You get into the point where you have to continually raise the debt limit. You get into the point where you continually have to look and search for money to get from people. Because what do we know? That no matter what you do with the rich, no matter how much you think you're going to tax them, well, they'll pay some and it'll be an exorbitant amount. It'll be nothing comparatively to what a lot of the other people are going to have to pay. Why? Because the rich can be portable. Case in point, the Pandora Papers. If you guys know nothing about this, this is something that is breaking today. Essentially, there is a lot of money out there that is just hanging out, put in other places. A ton of money that is put elsewhere. Rich, powerful leaders of countries, leaders of large and CEOs of businesses. On top of that, you've also got entertainers and many people else. They're always going to find a way to do what they want to do with their money because their money is portable, because they have so much of it. They have other people that can help them make it portable.
You may be known as Teflon Tony here, but this particular issue may stick. Leaked documents show Tony Blair and his wife didn't pay a penny of the $421,000 in tax when buying an $8.4 million London townhouse. That's because they bought the offshore firm that previously owned it and then closed that company after the transaction. The loophole legal, but the optics bad. Previously, Blair had stated publicly that the tax system is a haven of scams, perks, and financial district deals.
Yeah, to say the least. By the way, the money that is out there is tremendous. In fact, apparently Putin's side dish has $100 million. So, it's incredible. 11.9 million records leaked to the International Consortium of Investigation Journalists. About 600 journalists are taking a look at all of this stuff. We're talking about huge amounts. And a majority of this is legal. King Abdullah II, who rules Jordan, spent more than $100 million on lavish properties in the U.S. and Europe while his country fell deeper into political turmoil, the Washington Post is reporting. A woman suspected of being a years-long relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin became the owner of pricey apartments in Monaco just days after giving birth to his child. There are politicians, there are pop stars, there are CEOs. And yes, even here in the United States of America, you're going to find out that there's some places where you can put your money.
According to the documents, many of the bank accounts used were registered in well-known offshore havens, the British Virgin Islands, Hong Kong, and Belize. But the report claims that massive fortunes are also sheltered by trust companies based right here in the U.S., in states like South Dakota, Nevada, and Delaware.
Yep. So when they talk about, like, oh, the rich will pay their fair share, we got to do more, understand something. Majority of this stuff is legal. They just find a way. You would find a way. You'd do it too. I, like a lot of other people, we find the best possible person we can to help us take our money and do what's best that we think we can so we can keep the most. We look at the government and, you know, now what do they want to do? They spend like they're out of control. You get somebody like Manchin, who's a Democrat, comes and says, you know what, this is a little bit too much. And what happens? The fight's on. But when I look at something like this and you wonder why, you think to yourself, you guys are going to go print a bunch of money. You're going to go out and raise the debt ceiling over and over again, all for a lot of stuff that is going to make people essentially have an entitlement class who feel like indentured servants now to the, to the state and to the vote, to the feds. That to me is scary, because eventually rich people figure out a way to do whatever they want to do with their money, because that's how they got rich. And they do it most of the time legally. The rules are the same for all of us. The difference is you got to figure out how to read the fine print, and most of us can't do that.
An investigation should make us all wonder how and why the world's rich and powerful are able to play by different rules that grant them financial and business benefits that the rest of us don't have access to.
Because most of us just get a paycheck. That's why. Most of us get a paycheck. They don't. They take out large loans that they rarely pay back to their companies. Their monies are tied up in stocks, bonds, trust, offshore accounts, shell corporations. All of it's legal. They find tax havens elsewhere, and they put their money in other things as well. So what happens then? What happens then is taxes go up, and then you find out, well, we can only get so much from this group, so we better go to the next group. But you promised us, but we got to pay for this. But it's good. And then that next group goes from being the top 10% to the top 15, then the top 25. I think people get how the government works. People aren't stupid. But when you look at something like this and then you hear the Democrats saying it's never enough. Remember, Jayapal there, 1.5 trillion is too small. That's to go along with the 1.2 trillion. Let's not forget the fact that we haven't spent pretty much most of a lot of that other stimulus / COVID money. Then you were like, okay, we'll give you 3.5 trillion. But don't worry, we can print as much as we want. It's not going to harm anything. Okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. My Pillow has my slippers. And they are awesome. Now you can wear indoor. You can wear them outdoor. You got 3 different, put together almost like a sandwich for the soul, right? So don't worry about going inside and outside. You can wear them indoors and outdoors, right? They've got the patented My Pillow Fill. They've got a soft gel and the soybean stuff that is just amazing. That's made right here from soybeans. It gives you this most comfort that you've ever felt as you walk around. You will love, love, love these things. Right now, 50% off. 50% off your My Slippers. Check out all of the great deep discounts they have on every single My Pillow product. But get these now. They get the My Pillow on deep discount, the Giza Dream Sheets, the towels, the mattress topper, and yes, the My Slippers. Get your My Slippers now. 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson right there. MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Helen Keller is a Nazi terrorist that is a male. Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Hitler?
Who's Hitler?
Vaccines work, but only the Chad Benson Show is 100% effective against stupidity.
Do you know what D-Day is? D-Day.
A person? A rapper?
God, Karen, you are so stupid.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you find your favorite woke-free podcasts. This is the Chad Benson Show.
Officials say the leak was caused by a broken pipeline about 4.5 miles offshore. The entire amount of oil in that line released into the ocean. The company that owns the pipeline, Beta Offshore, is pledging full cooperation in the wake of the disaster.
Yeah, if you've not seen what is going on in Orange County, California, in particular right around Huntington Beach, which is Surf City, USA, it is absolutely awful. It is awful, awful, awful. Massive oil spill that has just turned it into a huge nightmare.
Officials say it's difficult to know how long it will take to clean everything up. The pipeline has been capped and no more oil is leaking into the ocean, but the spill is already impacting wildlife. Crews have deployed skimming equipment and booms to prevent the oil from flowing into a nearby ecological reserve and the Huntington Beach wetlands. Officials have told people not to swim, surf, or exercise near the beach because of potential health hazards like toxic fumes.
Yeah, so I grew up right there, from Long Beach all the way up to Huntington Beach, and the wetlands, this amazing protected area from a place from like where they would call Seal Beach, California, kind of area, all the way through Bolsa Chica into Huntington Beach, is absolutely stunning, and it is protected area, and this is a huge disaster, and it is, I mean, as they call it, it is a nasty, soupish kind of way of disgustingness that these people have created.
Oil isn't just one toxic chemical. Oil is actually a toxic chemical soup. And so there's a lot of different chemicals that are in the oil. Some of them will actually dissolve in water, which is bad news for the fish.
Yeah. So it is major. It is a major, nasty thing. And now the question is, how did this happen? We don't know. But what they are saying is about 126,000 gallons of oil. So it's 13-mile-long slick of oil, dead fish, birds, all kinds of nastiness washing up ashore. And it is sad to see this. It is just a horrible, horrible situation. And it goes back again to, how did this happen? How do we make things safer? We're never going to stop our dependency on fossil fuels until the point where we know that we can depend on other energy to get us from point A to point B. But you do ask the question, was this sabotage? Was this just something that naturally happened? Was this a situation where the people who put this thing together, it had gone, they hadn't retrofitted it? We don't know. But it is going to be an ugly, nasty cleanup, and the fight will begin again to stop offshore drilling, especially in places like Huntington Beach and elsewhere. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Where do you hear this? From St. Andrews. Yes, that great Gulf area, but it's also got a college. We'll talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One more time.
Those were not adults, even though they pretend to be. Those are what we call asshats. So you have people who are anti-mask, anti-vax. You have people that are pro-mask, pro-vax. That is a conversation that they had with one another. That's what they sounded like. Those were grown-ups. Those were grown-ups, not being growny-uppy. Why? Because that's what they do now. That's how we've gotten to this point where we can't even have an honest conversation about anything in this country. You just can't. Right? You have a conversation about LGBT community. If you're straight, you're an idiot and you're horrible and you're now, you're homophobic. If you talk about race and you're white, automatically you just can't. You talk about any other thing, the drugs, you're an anti-vaxxer. So what ends up happening? People start screaming and they go and they fight, and you're sitting there, you're just laughing your ass off because those are grown-ups. Here's the rest of the way that the 99% of us deal in reality. We have conversations because those are good. Hey, I believe that, wearing a mask is, yes, it can definitely cut down on some stuff, but it's not the end all to be all, and this thing's not going anywhere, so we better learn to live with it. And then other people might say, you know what, I think you should wear a mask all the time because this thing's not going anywhere. And you could give it to somebody who's not vaccinated, and then the person may say, look, I'm not vaccinated, so, I'm willing to accept whatever happens. And they might go, well, we disagree. And then you turn around and you go, okay, well, that's life and that's where we are. Hey, by the way, how's the kids? How's the family? And then you have a normal conversation. We don't do that. Instead, we scream and yell and go, blah, blah, and that doesn't get anywhere. That's to me, that's what I feel like Washington, D.C. is anymore. Or local politics, even up to the state level, but all the way. But that's all I hear. Zero conversation, just screaming and yelling, and that's it. No more. No more. Like last week, my on-air partner here, so I do my local show. My on-air partner and I were talking about it, and I said, look, I think people will be more willing to take the Merrick drug comparatively to get a shot. Why is that? I said, just because I think some people will feel like, okay, I'm not getting a shot. This is just in case I do get something. Well, that's stupid. People should have choice. Well, your choice could affect me. Mandates are great. Look at how well they're working. Well, of course, the government could come in and make you do anything they want. Well, the businesses are. The businesses are because the government's making them do that. And I am pro getting the shots. Not a vaccine the way we think of vaccines. It's a shot. I'm also pro-freedom. In fact, which one am I more? I'm more pro-freedom.
Merck has developed a pill that reduces the risk of hospitalization or death by around 50% for patients with, they say, mild or moderate cases of COVID, which I saw on the news today means take it early. When you first feel bad, take this pill. Is this going to change everything? Americans love pills. That's why I think this is going to be the game, because they're like, just solve it with the pill. Even though the pill could do the same as a vaccine, it's just something about a pill. Pills are easy. Even a shot, it's like, oh, it hurts and I don't know, and it's scary and it's a needle. But the pill, who can't take a pill?
Exactly. And I go back to this. Endemic, not pandemic. It's not going anywhere. What does that mean? The flu's never gone anywhere. It's still here. We have some years where it's better than others, but by and large, you get a shot once a year, and you hope it works, but only about 52% of us on average get a flu shot every year. If you think we're going to, remember, we're going to get to 70, 80%. Then it was like 97% is what Biden said last week. You're insane if you think that we're going to live our lives based on this thing. You're allowing this thing to control us. Not really. You're using this thing to try to control a lot of stuff. And that's insane. Again, can't have a conversation. Remember when we talked about I've said from the beginning, the Wuhan bat thing, it's not about a conspiracy as far as they did this on purpose. It was all about, let's find out the reality of this thing. The way that it jumped from human to human was too quick. It knew. But if you talked about it, you got shut down. Ivermectin, and let's go back over this. I've talked about it. Everybody's like, well, you made fun of. Yes, I made fun of people because if you go to the tax store to buy something, you're an idiot. You're buying dewormer from not only horses, but you're going and you're looking at dewormer for dogs. You got a problem. But if you're going to go to a doctor and the doctor decides to give it to you, that's a different story, right? Couldn't have that conversation. Not a real conversation. Your stories about people eating paste, you're just like, what are you doing? Well, because people were desperate and they didn't trust the vaccine or the shot. But at the same time, they started to worry about the what if, because they were also seeing a lot of people get sick and some die.
I mean, ivermectin. Ivermectin. It's a drug. It's not a politician. It should not have any reputation except does it work or not. But like on the left, it was like, oh no, you can't even mention it. And of course, the comedians on the left would only talk about the fact that it was used to deworm horses, leaving out that it's been described millions of times for humans now.
There were so many people who were suddenly rooting against or for certain drugs.
Right, rooting.
Why do you care?
Exactly.
You know?
Root for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember when hydrochloroquine was being talked about, and it was like people were rooting for Trump to be wrong. They didn't want the drug to work because if it worked, then that means that he was a person who pushed some of it, and because of that, automatically he could have come up with something that might have helped, when the reality is, no, it was just something that was available and out there, and it had been out there for a long time. Now, if you're going to go grab something from the tax store, that's a you problem if you freak out. If your doctor says, you know what, you want to try this? I got zero problems with it. It's been given out a bunch, but you're going to take it in a very real way. That's another story. You got remdesivir. You're going to have Merck pretty soon. You're going to have several of these things. And once these things become something that's readily available, in particular the Merck one, once this happened, Pfizer, I know, is working on one. They're calling it Pfizer-Mectin. It's not quite Pfizer-Mectin, but I understand. Once these things start to get to the point where they're readily available, it goes back to it's time to live our life, because you'll have access to a shot and you'll have access to therapeutics. I don't know what else we're going to do. I don't. And if you look at the numbers where they're highly vaccinated in places right now, like the upper eastern seaboard, they're having big issues as well. And this is a place where a good majority of people are already vaccinated. So they're having a surge. Maybe at some point in time, we got to realize we got to learn to live with this thing, through this thing, and around this thing. The best that we can do is try to keep ourselves fit, not be idiots, and eventually understand that the therapeutics may help us get back to the normal life. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. All right. This is insane. I will tell you this now. I would not be going to this school. St. Andrews University. I just want you guys to understand, we are at the height of cultural insanity, as well as the height of the insanity that we fight over with things like, yes, the vaccine, not the vaccine.
St Andrews University has introduced compulsory modules on sustainability, diversity and consent. Students will not be enrolled unless they pass. The induction asks students to agree or disagree with statements, including acknowledging your personal guilt is a useful starting point in overcoming unconscious bias. Students are marked incorrect should they tick disagree, and should they do so too many times, they will actually fail.
So, if you tick no, I'm not guilty of any of these things. No, I don't feel remorse or sadness over something I didn't do. No, I am not going to say I'm an awful person based on the color of my skin or whatever. Then you're not. So you could be brilliant, but you can't get into here unless you acknowledge the fact that you're awful. So understand that. You're brilliant. You've gotten into a school. They've said, come on in. So you go on in. They said, oh, by the way, now you have to tell us how much you suck. Wait, what? Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, but I'm not. No. Average cost, by the way, before AIDS, $45,000. After aid, on average, costs upwards of $25,000. So the insanity of this is real.
These things get worse all the time. I think what's unusual about this story is that it's coming from the university.
Yeah.
So we're very used to kind of students insisting on these kind of woke ideas, but this is very much a top-down, from the university imposition. And it's weird because, you know, you think of universities as places where you're going to learn how to think.
Yeah.
But here, immediately, before they've even started their course, students are being told what to think.
Yes.
Yeah. What to think. So, hey, Chad, do you feel guilty because you are white? I said, well, you guys think I'm white. Just because I look white doesn't make me fully 100% white, but whatever. No, but you are. Okay, again, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. Secondly, why should I feel guilty? Well, because you're white. That's not a reason. Well, because you grew up with all this privilege. You didn't know how I grew up. You have no idea how I grew up. So unless you agree with everything, unless you agree with the trolls who tell you must agree,
in that particular question where it's asking about white privilege and unconscious bias, I mean, these are highly contested ideas.
Extremely contested. And if you don't agree with the statement that, acknowledging your white guilt is a good place to start a conversation about race, then you will fail the module. And there are even more worrying statements than that. There's one question about equality, and it asks students, do you think that equality should mean treating people the same? And the answer is no.
The answer is no.
So
if you know the dictionary definition,
absolutely,
you're going to fail.
Because today, you have to see equality might mean treating people differently in order to get the correct outcome.
Oh, I see. That's just it. The correct outcome. So you're not worried about equality in the sense of, let's give everybody the chance. What we're looking for is equality. Let's give everybody the exact same outcome. Oh. Just like MLK taught.
It is extraordinary, but as you say, these things are highly contested. I hope they're contested.
Yeah.
It's complete overturning of the old ideas of anti-racism, of the kind of Martin Luther King principles of, treat everyone equally, content of their character above colour of their skin. And yet these are being taught as facts that students have to imbibe if they're going to be able to matriculate on their course.
Yes. Well, if you want to matriculate there you go. Yeah, I would not. I would have passed. I'd say, you know what? I appreciate that. But don't you want to come here? Or is it Scotland? Don't you want to come here? I'd be like, nope, I do not. I'm going to give a hard pass on that because you're not interested in the reality of the world. You're interested in trying to bake in some sort of amazing world where everything is the exact same and we treat everybody based on their group, their victim group. And that's not the way the world should work. At least I don't think so. But if you want to be a victim, knock yourself out, right? There's plenty of them. You won't be alone. But I'd give a hard pass. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. If you guys have never seen my dogs, you can go on to ruffgreens.com/Chad. See a picture of the young doodle, who's not young. But I tell you what, he's bouncy and happy as ever before. He gets up with me in the morning. I get up extra early. He sees me, bounces around. He's just awesome. And it's all because of Rough Greens. About 16, 18 months ago, we started giving Rough Greens to him. We introduced it to his diet, and it's just a supplement. It goes on top of his food. It's called Canine Vitasmart, and it's got vitamins, minerals, vegetables, non-GMO. It's got omega-3, 6, 9 digestive enzymes, and it has brought him to another place in life where his joints don't hurt. His digestive tract is great. He doesn't have to worry about, some of the stuff he eats. And most importantly, he's healthier and happier than he's ever been. Right now, Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. ruffgreens.com/Chad. ruffgreens.com/Chad. You go there, you get a bag for free. You just cover the cost of shipping. Or you can call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
It's a very emotional week. Just, again, these guys are like my brothers, you know what I mean? And I got to, there's two groups of people, all of my Bucks teammates that I love and I'm going to battle with every week. And then there's another group of guys that I see, and those are my friends that I've been with for a long time, Matt Slater and Kyle Van Noy and Dante Hightower and John and Devin and David Andrews and Hoyer. And there's a whole crew, Josh, and it's just, these are the people that I've shared my life with, and very grateful for everything that they've contributed to my life.
Yep, last night was it. Tom went home. It was a weird, surreal atmosphere. They won the game. It was an interesting game, to say the least. I didn't have a great week on picks. We'll get to those. I still have one game left, but it was an interesting game. But him going home, and you think about it, 20 years they spent together. 20 years. they were there together. And people wanted to make a lot out of it last week. He's coming home, right? Arguably our biggest star in sports across 2 decades. Here or there, others, had their moments, but consistently. And they built that franchise. They built everything. And everybody wanted to make stuff more than I think it was.
We've had a personal relationship and, for 20 plus years. So he drafted me here, and I've had a lot of personal conversations that should remain that way, and they're very private. And I would say so much is made of our relationship. And, as I said earlier this week, from a player standpoint, you just expect the coach to give you everything he's got. And I'm sure as a player, that's what he was hoping for me. But nothing's really accurate that I ever see. It's all kind of, definitely doesn't come from my personal feelings or beliefs. And I have a lot of respect for him as a coach.
Yeah, as you should. They won. They're 3-1. Last night, I thought their rookie quarterback played pretty damn good. They had a quick hug after the game, but then apparently he went and sought out Tom, in the locker room, and they spoke for about 20 minutes, probably laughing at all the crap that was written about them, which none of it was probably true. It was fun, though. It's a good game last night. And how about those Cardinals? Huh? Holy moly. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One more time.
Those are people who think you should wear a mask and vax against people who don't think you should wear a mask or be forced to be vaccinated. And at the end of the day, what do we get? Yeah, that is not how you have a conversation. That is not how you try to get your point across. And let's be real, too. Some of us are so entrenched in whatever it is that we're living in, belief-wise, that we're never going to move from there. Never going to move from that position, no matter what happens. You're hearing doctors even say, people on their deathbed, some of them aren't saying go get vaccinated. You know what they're saying? This is a hoax. Okay. Others, you don't hear about them. Like they didn't get vaccinated. They didn't get the shot, if you will. And they're fine, and they got on with it, and they've got antibodies. But, it's like we can't have a conversation. This thing isn't going anywhere. And now you've got the government who wants to spend money like a drunken sailor. You've got the government who wants to go out and start tossing money around like you could not believe. And they've got plenty of it because apparently all we do is print it.
We have plenty of time to do both of these bills. We could pass them next week. We could pass them in November. We could pass them in December. We could pass them in January. One of the things that we have made a mistake at is we've kind of lost the narrative, focusing on dollar amounts instead of exactly what the initiative in these programs. The number itself is meaningless. I read Joe Manchin's statement. He has no understanding of how the federal government monetary system works. It's not a question of what we can afford. The federal government can afford anything that it feels it needs to do.
Did you guys know that? Of course. Anything they want, they can just go and print money for. That's House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth, Democrat. They just want to go out, right? That's it. They just want to go out. They just want to go out. Let's spend, let's spend, let's spend, let's spend. That's all they want to do. It's never enough. Case in point. Pramila Jayapal, Congresswoman, $1.5 trillion. Remember, when we talk about infrastructure, there are 2 bills that are sitting out there. 2, not 1, but 2. The first one is what we would consider a bill that would be infrastructure. Roads, airports, bridges, waterways, power plants, water plants, power grids, etc., etc. The other one is the human infrastructure bill, which essentially is all of the other stuff that they wanted to get in, that is a social safety net. And they call it the human, because if you don't vote for it, you don't like humans.
I don't feel the need to give a number because I gave my number. It was 3.5. So if you're in a negotiation, you need to have a counteroffer before you bid against yourself.
So if we're not looking at numbers, what about 1.5, like what Senator
Well,
Manchin
that's not going to happen.
But
So
why
it's
is
going to
that-
be somewhere.
Why won't it add up to that
Because
number?
that's too small to get our priorities in.
That's too small, which is to spend money and build a permanent class of people that are going to essentially be wards of the state in a lot of ways to the government. I'm fine with a social safety net. If you're not, you're a fool. You should absolutely be fine with that. We should have opportunities to have people, if you are struggling for whatever reason, in particular, you've lost your job, you're finding certain situations there, you go and you have the opportunity for the government to come in and help you. It shouldn't be a hammock. Joe Manchin pushed back on it last week, and of course he got flack for it.
So I said means testing, and that way you target children. So you have the beginning of life, our children. Pre-K, yes. Then you have the end where our senior citizens want to live in the dignity and respect of their own home. We can do that with some assistance. And again, some can pay a little bit, and some can't pay any. That's means testing. It goes an awful long way that way. I'm just not. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled. I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
Absolutely, 110%. 110%. If you need help, the hand up should be there, not the handout, and not the handout that seems to go on forever. But that's where we are at this moment in time. And I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. I think this battle is going to go on for a while. And people are looking at Biden, and Biden is getting frustrated because it's not working for him. Right? He was hoping and praying that they were going to get this done. Immigration's a nightmare. COVID's not gone anywhere. Oh, no. China's making some serious noise over Taiwan. The world's not looking at us the way that I think a lot of people thought the world's going to look at once Joe took over. You've got inflation, which now looks like it's going to be here through the middle of next year, potentially at the earliest. And your infrastructure bill is floundering. Yeah. It is frustrating for him. And you've got a tear somewhat in the party between the uber progressives, the moderate Democrats, and nothing is going to get changed anytime in the near future.
And I'm going to be going around the country this week making the case why that's so important. Look, it's understandable. There's an awful lot that's in both of these bills that everybody thinks they know, but they don't know what's in them. When you go out and you test each of the individual elements in the bill, everyone is for them, not everyone. My objective here is to make sure we put in place the things that are going to make life more livable for ordinary people.
That's what it is. Translation. I speak a little Joe. My job is to go out and to tell everybody how amazing these things are, how it's not going to cost a penny for anybody, and how anybody out there is going to have the opportunity to get a bunch of free stuff. Oh, yeah. Some of these things in the human infrastructure bill, I've got zero problems with. I think we need to help out with child care, in particular, early childhood development, because that helps us all across the board, helping kids get a jump start on things. You'd be foolish not to think that. Expanding certain programs that are working, yeah, I got no problems with some of those things. But a lot of this other stuff is just freebies after freebies. And like everything, right? Like immigration is a perfect example. When you start to realize how big the mess is with immigration, you have so many people who are like, "Oh yeah, I think catch and release is okay." Was it 80% of Democrats think it's okay to apply for asylum while they live here? So we're going to let them apply for asylum and stay here while they do so without any means of what? What are we doing across the board for that? How many people are here illegally? I think if people really knew the number, I think you'd even see a vast majority of Democrats would go, okay, this can't happen. By the way, remember last week? Do you guys remember that? Well, the numbers started to come out about how many people ended up staying here from that Haitian migrant caravan. Well, now it's looking like there could be more.
Warnings about another possible surge in migrant crossings. The Panama foreign minister claiming that as many as 60,000 mostly Haitian migrants are making their way north to the U.S.-Mexico border. She's been calling on the U.S. to help enforce a plan. Yesterday, officials in Cuba and the Bahamas intercepting hundreds of Haitian migrants at sea, trying to reach the U.S. In Del Rio, Texas, still recovering from the last swell of migrants which overwhelmed Border Patrol.
Yeah. They said 60,000, right? Did you guys hear that? I mean, listen. This is 60?
Warnings about another possible surge in migrant crossings. The Panama foreign minister claiming that as many as 60,000.
60,000. 60,000. We're talking about it. So if 25,000 show up here, it's not like nobody knew about it. But what will they do? That's just it. So what we do know is 13,000 stayed here from the last group, which, by the way, that number seems to change. So remember, it was 4,000, then it was 7,000, then it was 15,000, give or take. So we had that number. We're somewhere around in there. At the end, what we were told is between 12 and 15.
Of the more than 30,000 migrants who traveled to the border.
Excuse me? That seems like a lot more. Now, maybe not all of them got across, but that feels like more than whatever was reported originally.
Of the more than 30,000 migrants who traveled to the border, some 13,000 were released in the U.S. pending asylum. 8,000 returned to Mexico, and nearly 7,000 were removed, many under Title 42. Last week, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that the Biden administration could continue to expel migrant families under the Trump-era policy. It allows for the quick expulsion of migrants over COVID concerns, giving them no chance to seek asylum. The ACLU has filed suit against some of the deportations.
Yeah. So it was not 15. It was not, it ended up being 30,000. So, or right around there. 13,000 are here. 7,000 or 8,000 returned back to Mexico or sent back to Haiti. But now they also understood the plan that you have to have. If you have a somewhat intact family, the chances of you staying here are tremendous. If you're a single, in particular male adult, you're probably going home. Or if you go back into Mexico, your bet then is, well, I'm just not going to get caught and try to surrender. I'll just take my chances getting across the border that way. And there's more coming. And what will get done? Nothing. Why? Because I think at this point in time, they don't know how to stop it. Because they sure in the hell don't know how to count. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows both your Twitter and Getter, Gettr. Joined that last week. You have a chance to check it out. It's kind of interesting. Getter. Roman. Doing something for you, ladies and gentlemen. Go to GetRoman.com/Chad. Right now is your chance not to strike out, if you will. What? You know, I play a lot of golf. Sometimes people screw up. Sometimes you have a 3-putt. You don't want that. You want to feel like you're going to putt perfectly, if you know what I mean. That's where Roman comes in. Roman, you get free online evaluation for ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort of your home. U.S. licensed healthcare professional. Going to work to find the best treatment plan. So if medication is appropriate, ships you free within 2 days. Whole process is simple. It's discreet. It's easy. Straightforward as gets. Go to GetRoman.com. Complete an online visit today. Take care of your ED. You don't have to worry about leaving your home. You do everything right there and get a doctor to take care of it. Yeah, that's right. GetRoman.com/Chad. Now, get $15 off your first month. It is a straightforward way to take care of your ED. Go to GetRoman.com/Chad. Now, start saving $15 on your first month of treatment. GetRoman.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us take a peek and find out what's trending. You guys like that? All right, let's take a peek, find out what's trending. Start over in Twitter. Taiwan. Or as everybody else would like you to call it, if you're kowtowing to China, Chinese Taipei. But Taiwan is trending because China flew 52 aircraft into Taiwan's airspace while the media threatens Australia. There's stuff going on there, kids. It's getting nasty. And if you let's go back. China believes Taiwan is a rogue state that has escaped. Taiwan says we're our own country. And that's it. And if you refer to it as anything other than Chinese Taipei in China, they will censor you or who knows what else. So people kowtow to them. Taiwan's like, we are our own country. And I'm waiting for them to try something to see what this president's done. And based on the stuff I've seen, I don't think a lot would happen. I don't. Pandora Papers are trending. If you don't know what that is, we can talk a bit about it. But essentially, these are documents that have been released to a bunch of journalists. I think it's about 3 terabytes worth of information that show what the rich do to move their money offshore, where they move their money, how they shield themselves from certain things. It is fascinating. Moving on over to Google. Frances Hagen, we'll talk about her in a minute. She's a former Facebook employee, and she kind of revealed a lot of what Facebook was doing, how they changed their business plan and their model, and essentially prioritized profits over people, which is not a shock. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Aussie Media, if you don't know what that is, this is a story that is just now starting to get legs, but essentially, this was going to be the new world of media, right? It was black-owned. It was minority-owned. All of these people poured tons of money into it. And what is it really? Well, we'll talk about it because on Friday, they shut down. Now, apparently, they've reopened. And, of course, the biggest story in the last 24 hours, Patriots, Tom Brady beating New England in his return to New England. I want to see what those numbers look like overnight, but my assumption is the numbers overnight for that, for NBC, are going to be monstrous. They're going to be absolutely huge, 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 huge to win the night. Pretty good game, all things considered. Sloppy, it was rainy. It's a bit nasty out there. But for all intents and purposes, they had a chance to win it. I don't know if I'd have done what Bill did. It's 4th and 3. It's 56 seconds left. You try to kick a 56-yard field goal with a kicker you know has issues with his plantar foot right now, even though he's been money, and he doinked the post. But you still left time on the clock should you have scored to give Tom a chance to drive down. I probably would have tried to get a little bit closer. That's just me. You have all those Super Bowls. I don't. There you go. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Are we more angry than ever before? Is it possible? When you listen to stuff like this, you do start to wonder if we're angrier than ever before.
One more time.
I don't think we are angrier than before. I just think that the reality is we live in a world now where we can see anger, and we've never seen it like this 24/7 with AIs, algorithms, all of those kind of things. Things are getting pushed to us in ways where it's easy for us to see, hey, everybody seems to be angry. I don't know about you. Now, I was angry Saturday, but I was angry at myself. I was angry at other people. But the reality is, by and large, I'm not an angry cat, I'm just not. I'm kind of bouncy and happy-go-lucky. I mean, I'm a bit of a redhead, but my fuse is very long. It's very long. But, having, being angry every once in a while and blowing off your top is okay. But we think that's all everybody does, and that's not true. We just have a way now to see everybody's anger.
Are we more angry nowadays, and what can we do to manage it?
Have you seen some of those crazy videos of people on planes getting angry or fighting?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a few of those.
From chaos in the clouds to brawls at school board meetings.
Guys, come on.
And shouting in the streets.
You want to be violent? Come to me and I'll...
People are fed up.
It's a boiling point. But it's just been one thing after another.
Does it seem like people are just more angry nowadays?
I think a little bit, or at least people are expressing their anger more.
No, we've just given them a tool. I go back many moons. We took up arms against one another. We sat at the dinner table night after night debating and arguing over a thing called slavery and the essentially the states and what we started to build breaking into two. And we had a situation where we looked at our brothers and our fathers, we looked at our mothers, our cousins, our neighbors, and we took up arms and we each picked a side and we fought and we battled. That's pretty angry. And we didn't have Twitter. We didn't have Insta, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook. We didn't have any of that stuff. What we had was people who were pissed off at a situation and decided they felt so angry about that situation, slavery. They felt so angry about the South and what they were doing, and the South felt so angry with the North and what they were trying to do that they decided we are going to fight. And some people in the South fought for the North. Some people in the North fought for the South. It was true anger. Now we just get pissed at each other online, and for all intents and purposes, we do and say stupid things, or we'll catch somebody in a moment at a mall or at a restaurant or on an airplane, and we film it, and we think every flight's that way. Every mall that you go to, there's that. Every single restaurant is going to have a fight like that. That's not true. Then you couple in the fact that we have moved away from the COVID, essential lockdowns. And the stress of all of that has caused us, I think, at times to be even more angsty and angry, if you will, because we're letting off steam and we're stressed. But no, we're not angry.
Anger gets a bad reputation because for some, it can lead to harmful behavior.
The politeness that you learned growing up is losing its place, yeah.
People are projecting that dissatisfaction with what's going on in the world on other people.
The COVID-19 pandemic has led to loss of life, jobs, and freedoms.
And that anger has been building and building and building.
Is there a right way to express your anger?
Say maybe there's a healthier, more effective way in ways that don't lead to harm to others.
Yeah, and most people do those things. Most people do, like 99.9%. But there are people out there that are asshats. And by the way, they're angry all the time at everything. I get it all the time online. You just have to learn to just go, and you move on with it. I get it all the time, from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter. I try not to, I go back and say this. They're tools that I use for the job. They are. But all too often, they become this battle and fight that I wish we didn't have to have. Doesn't matter what you put out there. I was telling, so last week, I was watching Bryson DeChambeau. Because you guys know I like golf. Bryson is this kind of quirky golfer that last year when the pandemic started, he was like 6'1", like 190 pounds. When the pandemic essentially was still going, but they decided to have the pro golfers back out there again, he had put on about 40 pounds of, 30, 40 pounds of just muscle. He was beefed up. And he's this quirky kind of mad scientist is what they call him. He also likes hitting the ball really far, and he participated in the Long Drive World Championships last week because while that's a novelty, he sees it as another aspect to not only raise awareness to the game of golf, but he went out and participated. I'm watching it. It's on YouTube Live. It's streaming. And the comments next to it, which I would say every second one had nothing to do with golf and all to do with politics and F you and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just insane. That's where we are in this day. That's where we are. We're angry at everything. It doesn't matter if it's golf or politics. People always want to be contrarian, and they always want to be able to say, I'm right. And then usually somewhere around the second or third comment, it starts to become nasty. And we've been empowered to have a voice now. Well, every voice matters. Not really. No, not every voice matters. Not every voice does. I'm there to say it. But these companies have taken advantage of this and have run with it. Last night on 60 Minutes, Francis Hagen, who essentially is a whistleblower in Facebook and a lot of what is going on inside of the company. Of course, the last couple of weeks, people have been talking about Instagram, which they own, that they knew. There's paperwork and a trail back several years that maybe, just maybe, they kind of knew that this wasn't good for a certain group of people, in particular young girls. That the algorithms, the thing that they were doing, were potentially going to be harmful to young women in respect when it comes to who they are, their looks, all of these kind of things. People looking at social media. I can't blame all social media. I can't. How were you raised? How are you as a human being? Some people are just trolls. They think it's hilarious. They're having fun. But a lot of people don't get it.
Haugen told us the root of Facebook's problem is in a change that it made in 2018 to its algorithms, the programming that decides what you see on your Facebook newsfeed.
So, you have your phone. You might see only 100 pieces of content if you sit and scroll off for, 5 minutes. But Facebook has thousands of options it could show you.
The algorithm picks from those options based on the kind of content you've engaged with the most in the past.
Yeah. The algorithm starts doing that. And algorithms are different. Remember, they're programmed by human beings. When they put all these things together, the humans are doing it. But what are they looking for? They're looking for the train wreck. They're looking for the thing that will evoke an emotion. A kitty cat that's looking cute doesn't evoke the same emotion in people that other things will. Because other people, they'll gravitate towards it in a more emotional way, which usually causes people to do what? Have a reaction.
And one of the consequences of how Facebook is picking out that content today is that it is optimizing for content that gets engagement or reaction. But its own research is showing that content that is hateful, that is divisive, that is polarizing, it's easier to inspire people to anger than it is to other emotions.
Yeah, not a shock. The greatest sales books in the world are psychology books. Because if I can get you to have an emotion, no matter what that emotion is, an actual emotion, whether it's greed, envy, because somebody else did something and you wanted to be part of that, whatever it is, I could get you to act. And that is the easy thing to do, because what you're trying to do is essentially show people over here, these people are saying this about you. Oh, really? Well, let me show you something. And then away you go. And that's how it happens.
Political parties have been quoted in Facebook's own research saying, we know you changed how you pick out the content that goes in the home feed. And now, if we don't publish angry, hateful, polarizing, divisive content, crickets. We don't get anything. And we don't like this. We even know our constituents don't like this. But if we don't do these stories, we don't get distributed. And so it used to be that we did very little of it. And now we have to do a lot of it because we have jobs to do. And if we don't get traffic and engagement, we'll lose our jobs.
There you go. And that's a big, big, big thing. If you don't scream loud, when we put this show together and Radio America brought me out, the whole thought process, we wanted to do radio a lot different. We wanted to be able to have conversations. We wanted to be able to do situations where we sit there and we could say, look, let's look at all sides. Let's find out the truth about stuff. Let's not just scream and yell at each other because it felt like hate radio was all that was out there. And lo and behold, while we have grown, I tell everybody all the time, I could grow 20 times faster. I'm funnier than 99% of those guys that are out there trying to be funny. And I could say things that are far more flame-throwing. And in such a way, that's not who I am. But the reality is it's so much easier to say something crazy. It's so much easier to take an extreme side and yell and say insane things and get people to gravitate towards you, both sides of it. And now they're starting to realize that too. All of these people are starting to realize, oh my God, look at this. It's insane. This is what we have to do now? Yeah, this is it. This is what we have to do now. It's to the point now where even in sports, it's got to be a hot take and it's got to be absurd. And you have to be loud doing it, even if you don't believe it. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now for many of you on both sides who will send me stuff, which is, I always know I'm doing my job at that point in time. I know this. What you think a lot of these people really represent, when I talk to them, when I see them, they're like, oh, God, I hate that. Because they get now that the way that they get any attention is you throw a fireball, right? Something big, a Molotov cocktail, and you just go affirm it over and over and over again, and you rile up the other side. And even if some of your side knows it's not true, when they see the other side rile up, they get their cackles up and away they go. That's why when you look at somebody like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, you're like, they seem like the only two normal people out there anymore. Sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We got more on this coming up a little later because it's just, to me, I find it to be so interesting. I just think the way that this thing is being handled, and she's 100% right. And those politicians that that she talks to, I talk to them, they're like, oh, God, you'd be surprised, what flies around. Like, do you think this is good? Is this loud enough? Is this crazy enough? I'm just trying to get people pissed off. I just like to get them started, and then we'll see where we go from there. That is not good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Check out Getter, GETTR.com. I went there to see what it's like. That's Jason Miller's new thing. So far, it's been okay. Go check it out for yourself. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
I am a predator.
A huge opening weekend for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The cinema-only superhero action comedy sequel scored $90.1 million domestically. That's nearly $30 million more than expected and tops previous pandemic opening record holder Black Widow by $10 million.
Antonio Soprano.
The news not so good for the much-hyped Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark. It scored a meager $5 million fourth-place bow.
I just don't think people cared about The Sopranos. I looked at this and I thought when it came out, like, this is a movie that should have been basically only on HBO. This was not a movie like that. This thing should have only been on HBO, but lo and behold, there it is. And, it wasn't going to do well. In saying that, you totally knew that Venom was going to be pretty big. I'm kind of pumped about it. I was going to go see it. My uncle saw it and said he enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty awesome. So I was going to go see it this weekend and said we saw The Addams Family, too. Kids liked it. That's really all that matters at that point in time. So, but is the movie world back? People are asking that question. We're going to look back, and there's a lot of things that have changed in the last 18 months. And movies is one of those things that have changed tremendously. Because as much as we're going to have a push to get people back in the theaters, I think also at some point in time, people have gotten a point of enjoyment out of not having to go to the theaters, where they look at movies and say, that's worth $10. It's not worth $100 for the family. That's worth $100 for the family. So Halloween comes out in 2 weeks. I will see that in the theater. I'm excited to see that. I will see it in the theater. Guess what? It's also, I think, on Paramount Plus, which I have. But I'd rather see that in the theater. Some movies still feel theater worthy. Others, I think, well, they're not. That's just me. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Oh, my Lord. Hollywood is going to have some troubles besides all of this because they're getting ready to maybe go on strike.
The main issues are long working hours, allegedly abusive working conditions, and increased pay in the world of streaming. That's why the International Association of Theatrical Stage Employees, known as IATSE, might strike. The union includes behind-the-camera workers, including camera operators, editors, makeup artists, set decorators, and more. Some 60,000 or so workers who would cripple Hollywood production if they walked off the job. They voted over the weekend on a strike. We're supposed to get those results this morning. Most think a strike will be authorized, though if it is, it wouldn't take effect immediately.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see the way that this thing plays itself out because, well, this could be huge for them in a time when they're struggling, but that's when you strike, right? That's when you strike. If you're struggling, you strike then. And they're struggling, and you've got the chance to strike. They're upset about a lot of things. Feel they're not getting paid and that the streaming is taking away their money, much like Black Widow. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One more time.
Those are the anti-vaxxers versus the super-vaxxers. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was spectacular. You know what's hilarious about that? If you didn't know what it was, you were like, is this one of those improv things? Did somebody do one of those hypnotist things at like a fair where you go up there and the guy's like, all right, I'm going to hypnotize. And like 3 of the 10 don't get hypnotized. But the drunk guys and gals in the back love the fact that their 2 friends are hypnotized, and then they get them fighting back and forth. It's hilarious, except for that's not what it was. Those were individuals who were adults fighting over stuff that's ridiculous. I'm not shocked anymore because we are absurd. I'm not shocked at all. Why should we be? This is the world that we live in now, where we scream and yell at each other. This is the world we live in now, where, quite frankly, it's the idiots that get the press when the reality is 70% of us. I call us the exhausted majority. Because we are. I mean, we're exhausted over talking about this crap. We don't fight over it. I mean, it's just the same. You get people that are, high and mighty, who feel that, hey, they're standing up to the mandates and the mask make them superheroes for certain. And there's other ones out there that feel them getting vaccinated, that give them the pious opportunity to look down upon thee.
He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us. And we must say, thank you, God. Thank you. And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, I'm vaccinated. All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants.
That's Kathy Hochul. She's the one who took over for Cuomo. People are like, man, ladies. She wears a vaccinated necklace. She's got a necklace that says First of all, I don't even know what you're vaccinated from. Secondly, are you kidding me? We're the smart ones. They're idiots. They're knuckle draggers. They're probably related to their loved ones in a way that, they're married, but at the same time already have the same last. You get what I'm saying there? That to me that's the piousness. It is frustrating. You can't have a conversation like that. That ain't going to happen. It isn't. Not in a real way. You're not going to get people to come around to quote unquote your side by doing that. So when you have people going, and they're screaming and yelling at each other, and then you've got, the New York governor going, we're the smart ones because God gave us the vaccine. Some of people aren't that way. That's why I wear the super vaccinated necklace. My God, what the hell's wrong with you people? Well, do you believe in the vaccine? Of course I do. I'm not an idiot. And it's not a vaccine the way we think of vaccine. It is a shot, kind of like the flu shot. We don't really say the flu vaccine. When you go down to your Walgreens, your CVS, your local pharmacy, well, what does it say? Come get the flu shot. It's kind of what it is. Come get the shot, at least for now. Come get the shot. It's going to offer you protection from getting critically ill. And more often than not, at least 60 to 7% of the time, you're not going to get sick. It'll keep it away from you. It's pretty much all you can ask for at this point in time. That's the way I look at it. But here we go. Then you go out every couple days. They continue to put a microphone in Dr. Fauci's face. I don't know why.
Fauci, a new Kaiser Family Foundation poll asked Americans this week what they thought the major reasons for high coronavirus spread are. And the top reason that Republicans gave in this poll was immigrants and tourists bringing COVID-19 into the U.S. Are immigrants a major reason why COVID-19 is spreading in the U.S.?
No, absolutely not. This is not driven by immigrants. This is the problem within our country, the same way it's a problem with other countries. You don't want to look outside to the problem. The problem is within our own country. Certainly immigrants can get infected, but they're not the driving force of this. Let's face reality here.
Well, here's a question. And again, I don't think they're the driving force, but let's just say for the sake of argument that during the pandemic that, let's say since the beginning of the year, we've had 1 million people come through that we don't know about, closing in on 1 million that we do, and that they carry a 10% rate. And that'd be 200,000. And many of them are going to places where? In the Hispanic community, in the black community, in poorer places that don't really trust the government. So could that be an issue? Of course it is. Is it the driving factor? No. It is not. But that's good to hit you with that, because that way you can once again say, look how evil they are, those Republicans. Oh, let's listen to Fauci. See if we can, I don't know, have Christmas.
One of the things we want to make sure is that we have had over the last few weeks a turning around of the acceleration of this, starting to come down in cases and hospitalizations and soon deaths. The one thing that we don't want to do is that we don't want to become complacent and say, okay, now we need to pull back. We don't need any more people to get vaccinated.
Can gather for Christmas, or it's just too soon to tell?
It's just too soon to tell. We've just got to concentrating on continuing to get these much safer.
It's too soon to tell. Let me tell you why you're going to get together for Christmas. Because if you believe this thing's a hoax, you're going to get together. If you're vaccinated, you're going to get together. That's kind of what's going to happen. When you hear Fauci, more often than not, even people that agree with him at some point in time have said, I can't listen to him anymore. They have left their listening device and attention device somewhere else, if you will, when it comes to Fauci. They're done. It's just wah, 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 wah. This thing's not going anywhere. Do you mean we're going to live our lives like this? Do you mean we're going to live our lives day to day like this all the time, waiting for the state to say, okay, it's okay now. You guys go outside. It's okay now. You can do this. It's okay now. You want to live your life like that forever? I don't think so. Endemic, not pandemic. It's not going anywhere. And based on that, we got to learn to live above this thing. That means showing people that this thing is safe, finding therapeutics. Merck has one, remdesivir, things that are easy to produce, and then living our lives. When people say, well, it's the unvaccinated that's causing us not to live our lives. No, it's not. It's the governments, both the state, city, and the federal government that's telling you can't do this, you can't do that. That's it. Time to live our lives. Be respectful. Be careful. If a place asks you to wear a mask, you wear a mask. Don't be an asshat. Don't be an asshat. In saying that, it's time for us to live our lives. People are over it. I'm looking at Australia, and I'm seeing what's going on there, and they're not quite sure what to do at this point in time. What they have done is they're robbing those people of their freedoms. And I think the pushback that is going to come is going to be huge. Because some of the stuff they're trying to do is insane. And the thought process originally was they would like to get it down to zero. You're not getting something like this down to zero. We don't do that with the flu. We're not going to do that with this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from each and every single one of you. It is awful. It is horrible. And it is impacting a place I love. A massive oil spill in Southern California that is about 13 plus miles long, and it is nasty.
Officials say it's difficult to know how long it will take to clean everything up. The pipeline has been capped and no more oil is leaking into the ocean, but the spill is already impacting wildlife. Crews have deployed skimming equipment and booms to prevent the oil from flowing into a nearby ecological reserve and the Huntington Beach wetlands. Officials have told people not to swim, surf, or exercise near the beach because of potential health hazards like toxic fumes.
Yeah, and this is nasty. If you've not seen it, so it's a beautiful area, Huntington Beach. So you have Bolsa Chica, Seal Beach, then Long Beach. It's this nice, swath of beautiful water and incredible, some old homes, some new homes. Surf City, USA right there, which is essentially Huntington Beach, California. And it is incredible. And then they've got these wetlands. In many cases, these wetlands, there's a river that runs through, if you will, as they call it, the river that goes even across the one, which is Pacific Coast Highway, into these beautiful areas. And this is nasty. Fortunately, it's 13 miles and not, 100 miles. But this is going to be an ugly situation. And this, again, will push people, in particular California, to look and say, why do we need offshore drilling? Why do we need any of these things at this moment in time? A push for greener energy. I am great with green energy. It's find better energy, more efficient. But that's not going to become a reality till it's proven, number one. Secondly, it is truly more efficient. For the masses, it's affordable. Because let's not forget, so much of what people do is, if you can afford it, you'll do it. You buy a Tesla, not because you care about the environment, because they're awesome. That's why. And then you can get pious and go, well, I really care about the environment too. Sure you do, but this thing's pretty awesome, right? Oh yeah, it's really awesome. It's going to take a while. It is. But this is going to cause the conversation again. The conversation we should be happening. We need to find out why this thing happened the way it did. But when you see inflation the way it is, when you see rising gas prices, rising oil prices that cause a domino effect to prices across the board, including to our day-to-day lives, whether we are paying for gas or we're paying for goods, and those goods got to a place and it was more expensive to get them there because of gas, that all adds up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Roman is here to help. Oh, yeah, baby. So let me tell you something. Okay, right? I like to golf. You guys hear me talk about that all the time. You don't want a three-putt, if you will, on the final hole. Right? You want to make sure you hit it long and strong. Give yourself a good shot into the green. See what I'm doing there? Yeah. Go to GetRoman.com/Chad. There are opportunities right now where you don't have to worry about missing the green, having the chance to take the shot. ED. Now, you can get an online evaluation for free. Simple and easy, all from the privacy of your home. U.S. licensed healthcare professionals are going to work with you to find the best treatment plan for you. So let's just say medication is appropriate. Guess what? It ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process, simple, easy, and straightforward. GetRoman.com/Chad. Just go there, complete an online visit, take care of your ED without leaving your home. Simple and easy. Go to GetRoman.com/Chad. Why? Because you can save $15 off your first month. So it's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. GetRoman.com/Chad to save $15 on your first month treatment. GetRoman.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Well, guys, it is a bittersweet night for us tonight.
Yeah, on September 14th, our friend Norm Macdonald passed away.
That's right. Norm is the reason that I ever wanted to do Weekend Update, and so tonight, we thought we'd turn the last few jokes of Update over to Norm.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live season debut. Ratings were very, very low. Gave a little shout out to Norm Macdonald, who was brilliant, passed away on the 14th. Not a lot of people knew he was very sick. In fact, many people, even his closest friends, had no idea. They knew he didn't feel well. I don't think they knew the severity of it. And they went back to some of the great things that Norm did, including the fact that for the entire OJ thing, he destroyed OJ over and over and over and over.
In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say OJ wore the night he committed the murders. Although OJ may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat. And that's the way it is, folks. Good night and good luck.
It's a shame. Again, gone way too early. A brilliant man, but I thought they did a pretty good job with it, all things considered. that it was Saturday Night Live, and quite frankly, they're just not funny anymore. They really weren't. Just not. And I think part of it is, again, they brought politics in, which is great, except they only bring in really one side of politics. And they also, I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, they're still doing Trump stuff. You know, they hired a guy that is talented, but like Trump's his thing. That's how he got this. And I'm thinking, man, wow. Wow. It's, what are you going to do? It's like this guy he's still making money for people, if you will. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. A lot of stuff to get to. We're going to touch on immigration. Plus, we're going to touch on some of this insanity.
St Andrews University has introduced compulsory modules on sustainability, diversity and consent. Students will not be enrolled unless they pass. The induction asks students to agree or disagree with statements, including acknowledging your personal guilt is a useful starting point in overcoming unconscious bias. Students are marked incorrect should they tick disagree. And should they do so too many times, they will actually fail.
Yeah. What do you hear the rest of that? But St. Andrews University in Scotland is getting woke with it, and it is crazy. By the way, I would probably not make it. Even if you're the most brilliant person, but you don't do what they ask you to do, you're not getting in. We'll talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
St Andrews University has introduced compulsory modules on sustainability, diversity and consent. Students will not be enrolled unless they pass. The induction asks students to agree or disagree with statements, including acknowledging your personal guilt is a useful starting point in overcoming unconscious bias. Students are marked incorrect should they tick disagree, and should they do so too many times, they will actually fail.
Ooh. Yeah. So, St. Andrews University in Scotland, now don't be confused with the one that's not in Scotland, that's in, I believe, North Carolina. St. Andrews University in Scotland is doing something different, and that is they're insane. So to get into the school, to uni, what do you want me to do? I'm glad you asked. We've come over from the United States of America, and we have deemed you guys not woke enough. What exactly does that mean? Well, we need you to be woke. Look at me, I'm wide awake. What are you asking me to do? Listen, we'll explain it to you like this. Some people over here are already discussing. You can just chime in.
These things get worse all the time. I think what's unusual about this story is that it's coming from the university.
Yeah.
So we're very used to kind of students insisting on these kind of woke ideas, but this is very much a top-down from the university imposition. And it's weird because, you think of universities as places where you're going to learn how to think.
Yeah.
But here, immediately, before they've even started their course, students are being told what to think.
Yes.
Well, what am I supposed to think? I don't get what you're going with. I've got the answer. I've already got in. They said my stuff, my A levels and all things were good, right? I got my A's and my O's. Everything's fine, so I should be going to uni. No. Well, you're telling me no. Why?
In that particular question where it's asking about white privilege and unconscious bias, I mean, these are highly contested ideas.
Extremely contested. And if you don't agree with the statement that, acknowledging your white guilt is a good place to start a conversation about race, then you will fail the module. And there are even more worrying statements than that. There's one question about equality, and it asks students, do you think that equality should mean treating people the same? And the answer is no. Equality.
No.
What do you mean no?
So if you know any definition,
absolutely,
you're going to fail.
Because today, you have to see equality might mean treating people differently in order to get the correct outcome.
Wait, what are you talking about? I got to answer questions about equality. Isn't it? I wouldn't treat everybody the same. No. And again, we come from the woke world here in the United States of America. We want to make sure that you guys understand this. Somebody's a different color than you. You're a victim. They are. You over there, different color, right? Different, whatever it is, LGBT, whatever it is. Whatever it is that you can put in the intersectionality pyramid, that person is automatically a victim. Why are they a victim? Because they're a victim. But why? What has happened to them? Because you did something to them. What did I do? You're born and you're white. What are you talking about? I've never met them. Doesn't matter. None of it matters. You just they're just a victim, and we're here to save them. But you're white. But I'm better than you. Because I acknowledge all of these things while continuing to benefit from all of the things I supposedly despise.
It is extraordinary, but as you say, these things are highly contested. I hope they're contested.
Yeah.
It's complete overturning of the old ideas of anti-racism, of the kind of Martin Luther King principles of, treat everyone equally, content of their character above colour of their skin. And yet these are being taught as facts that students have to imbibe if they're going to be able to matriculate on their course.
I don't want to do any of that anymore. No, that's the insanity of what is on the campuses here. Do we expect that in other places? You better learn to expect it in other places, because we are exporting insanity. We are exporting wackiness. So to get into St. Andrews, and you know what? We've seen it here at Brett Weinstein and his brother, and they have podcasts. It's called Dark Horse Podcast. There's a couple different ones of the Weinsteins out there. And one of the things they were talking about, and I saw them on an interview, they were talking about the fact that trending in certain schools that are essentially what you would consider like MIT, schools where science plays a huge role in the campus, and it's what they're known for. Trending cancels STEM. And they were liking it and talking about it. Think about that for a second. Canceling STEM because of this kind of insanity that's out there. I sit back and I think this is not helpful. This is not helpful for anything. So they would talk about people that were trying to become professors, guest lecturers on the campuses of Evergreen and several other colleges across the board. And you're hearing more and more from people who are saying, so wait a minute, you want me to teach whatever it is, right? I'm a nuclear physicist. You want me to come. But because my essential statement, not my work, not what I know, not what I can teach, but my statement to the college and the things that I will bring isn't woke enough, you won't give me the gig, but you will hire somebody who doesn't have any of the stuff that I have based on the fact that they're woker than me. Yeah, that's it. That's a sad place to be. We're allowing this to overrun. And why I talk about this is because for years and years, I kept saying this is going to end up where? This is going to end up your work, my work, everywhere we go. Because they're going to leave school. And in leaving school, they're going to land where? At your job, at my job, everywhere else. And in many cases, most of the kids and the youngsters, they're just going to school. They're just trying to do their thing. But for a lot of them, they're bringing with them ideas that make you go, whoa, yeah. When you hear something like that, where to get into the school, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter what you bring. What matters is, are you going to comply? Are you going to say, yes, you're all of these horrible things? Are you going to confess the things you didn't do? Because if you don't, then you're not allowed. And the sad thing is, somebody over the weekend said, I'm glad you went to church. I hope you, and then he was something about, race as a white man. I'm like, again, you don't know what color I am or what, you just assume. So it's this assumption about me. And that's totally understandable. But you're going to go through all of these things and you're going to say, it's not about race to me is again, the color of the skin. It's so much of what people, especially on the right, get frustrated with is rarely is it somebody who is a person of color. It's always usually super woke white people who are victimizing or telling everybody that they're a victim, taking advantage of it for their own pocketbook, which I think frustrates a lot of people. I know for me it does. It absolutely does. It should frustrate a lot of other people. So wait a minute. This lady over here who doesn't know me or you or anybody else, who writes a book about how all white people are racist, and now she makes bank off of it because she created victims and an industry. That's what this has become. Race is an industry. And before, there was a monopoly. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Now, white people are like, give me some of that. I'll tell all my white friends how racist they are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you each and every single day. Are we getting closer to that magic, that excitement, that big bill called infrastructure?
Hey, look, one of the things I love about you guys, I watched today, Biden vowed he's going to do this. Biden commits. Biden's going to work like hell to make sure we get both these passed, and I think we will get them passed.
Do you think that Democrats need to go it alone and do reconciliation in order to raise the debt limit?
Well, I hope the Republicans won't be so irresponsible as to refuse to raise the debt limit. That would be totally unconscionable. Never been done before.
They will. It's going to happen. Right now, they've got the opportunity to push back. Totally understandable. That's what people do in a situation like this. Remember the 5th of November. But besides that, in situations like this, when you don't have power, but you are needed, you can ask for certain things and get them to acquiesce in certain areas, and that's what they're going to do. The Republicans have been very quiet about this because they look and see what's going on right now. You've got Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who in many ways are kind of aligned at the hip, two very powerful, but they're also in different ways going to be adversaries because Joe Manchin comes from coal country and Kyrsten Sinema is worried about the environment. But both of them are worried about the amount of money we're spending at a time when we've spent a ton of money and we seem to be printing it over and over again. And many people out there say, hey, totally fine.
We have plenty of time to do both of these bills. We could pass them next week. We could pass them in November. We could pass them in December. We could pass them in January. One of the things that we have made a mistake at is we've kind of lost the narrative, focusing on dollar amounts instead of exactly what the initiative in these programs. The number itself is meaningless. I read Joe Manchin's statement. He has no understanding of how the federal government monetary system works. It's not a question of what we can afford. The federal government can afford anything that it feels it needs to do.
Oh, so there you go. It can afford anything it feels it needs to do. Of course, because they're printing other people's money. It's only when you run out of other people's money that you're like, uh-oh. You've got two infrastructure bills. Are the Democrats willing to sink both of them? I think there is a group out there that is absolutely willing to do that. Who does that hurt? Well, it hurts the American people because one of those bills, the true infrastructure bill that we would look at, is going to be needed and has been needed. The other one, the human infrastructure bill, there are some things in there that are very good, but by and large, there's a lot of it that's a bunch of hand-me-outs. And I look at this and I think to myself, are you willing to do that to your party? Because with immigration somewhat out of control, I'd say so. COVID not yet gone, because we knew it wasn't going to be. But everybody thought Biden and his empathy and everything was going to solve the problem, and the vaccine/shot was going to solve it. It hasn't. You've got inflation continuing to rise, and now it's not going to disappear by the fourth quarter. Looks like it may be with us for at least another 6 months to a year, and we'll see what happens there. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, and now infrastructure. And you've got China pushing all the buttons. There's a lot. So if you want to sink your guy, I guess you have at it. But I don't think at the end of the day that's going to help the way that you think it's going to. But in the world of politics, it's about them, not us. They've made that very clear. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. All right, we come back, talk a little football. Talk a little bit of football. I'll give you my picks from yesterday with some surprises. I swung and missed. Some injuries cost me as well. But we'll talk a little bit about that. Last night, Brady returned back to Foxborough, back to, 20 years, 6 championships. What kind of numbers those look like for NBC? Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
It's a very emotional week. Just, again, these guys are like my brothers, you know what I mean? And I got to, there's two groups of people, all of my Bucks teammates that I love and I'm going to battle with every week. And then there's another group of guys that I see, and those are my friends that I've been with for a long time, Matt Slater and Kyle Van Noy and Dante Hightower and John and Devin and David Andrews and Hoyer. And there's a whole crew, Josh, and it's just, these are the people that I've shared my life with, and very grateful for everything that they've contributed to my life.
Yep, went home. What kind of numbers will it get on the old television? They're thinking historic numbers. We'll have the final numbers tomorrow, but they think it may break the mark. Now, the historic mark, December 2nd, 85, Bears, Dolphins, Monday night, 41 million. 5 years later, Giants, 49ers drew 39. And then week 17, more recently, Patriots, Giants, 2007, undefeated, final game of the season, 34.5 million. Some people think it'll get somewhere in those numbers. Massive. It was enjoyable to watch. He came home. It was weird, right? I'm sure the whole thing was weird. The whole week you're being asked 1,000 million questions about you're going home. What's this like? First of all, he's from Northern California. Secondly, he spent 20 years there. He won 6 Super Bowls. Never had a losing season. He built a dynasty, not once but twice. The owner of the team gave his family a box last night because his mother and father, who don't come to as many games as they used to, came. The whole thing was surreal, I'm sure. At the end of the day, though, it was a game. The minute it started. So he didn't come out and do his normal warm-up. He waited. Looked a little at first. Not so great. They got the job done. The Patriots, I thought, looked okay. They're 1-3. In reality, they should be probably 2-2. All being said, though, hug for Belichick, and now it moves on. But it was funny because before the game started, they went down to Michelle Tafoya and they asked her about, she goes, I talked to a bunch of people before. And, the people of Boston are just like, well, we love him and he gave us 6 Super Bowls. Of course, you want to root for him. Do you want your team to... But then some people are like, nah, I ain't going to freaking root for him. He ain't our team anymore. Your cousin from Boston. It was like that. And they booed him once the game started. But they appreciate him. It was fun to watch. By the way, 8-7. Man, I tell you what, the Saints, what are you guys doing losing to the Giants? And the Titans, really? You lost to the Jets. To the Jets. I'm going to say this again. To the Jets. The Jets. Ravens won 23-7. I thought that was going to be an upset, but Teddy Bridgewater went out, and there was nothing the Broncos could do after that. Tonight, one game left. Hopefully, I win that one. I have the Chargers at home beating the Raiders. We'll see how that ends up. Solid, fun day. As always, got you through Monday. We'll do it again, I don't know, tomorrow. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.